I'd like to read you a little bit from Seneca's epistles, a piece that's puzzling me. I'm literally trying to figure it out, and I thought maybe if I turn the camera on and read it aloud and try to noodle it through, it'll become clearer to me. This is epistle 31, titled On Siren Songs. Again, Seneca's letter to his friend Lucilius. He references Odysseus here. Of course, Odysseus being Homer's character in the Odysseus, or in the Odyssey, who at one point of the adventure is sailing he's captaining a ship, and he's sailing it past some rocks. And on the rocks there are these women-type creatures called the sirens, and they're singing songs, and they lure sailors into the rocks with their beautiful songs and to their death, to their doom. And in the story of the Odyssey, Odysseus stops his sailors' ears with wax, something like wax, so that they can't hear the song. But Odysseus, who's curious to hear the song, lashes himself to the mast, like that pole there. Kind of has his sailors tie him, and with instructions that they're not to release him under any circumstance, that he's going to get past and hear it. And indeed, when he's going past the where the rocks are, where the sirens are, he can hear it, and he struggles to get free, but he gets past. So he gets the benefit of hearing the siren song without succumbing to their call. So Seneca is going to refer to that here. So let's read a little bit and let's see if we can figure it out. In short, you will be a wise man if you stop up your ears. Nor is it enough to close them with wax. You need a denser stopple than that which they say Ulysses used for his comrades. The song which he feared was alluring, but came not from every side. The song, however, which you have to fear, echoes around you not from a single headland, but from every quarter of the world. Sail, therefore, not past one region which you mistrust because of its treacherous delights, but past every city. Be deaf to those who love you most of all. They pray for bad things with good intentions. And, if you would be happy, entreat the gods that none of their fond desires for you may be brought to pass. What they wish to have heaped upon you are not really good things. There is only one good, the cause and the support of a happy life. Trust in oneself. But this cannot be attained unless one has learned to despise toil and to reckon it among the things which are neither good nor bad. For it is not possible that a single thing should be bad at one time and good at another, at times light and to be endured, and at times a cause of dread. Work is not a good, and here's a little footnote here that says, the argument is that work is not in itself a good. If it were, it would not be praiseworthy at one time and be deprecated at another. It belongs therefore to the class of thing which the Stoics called Indifferentia. I love that word, a new word for me. So Seneca goes on, work is not a good. Then what is a good? I say the scorning of work. That is why I should rebuke men who toil to no purpose. But when, on the other hand, a man is struggling towards honorable things, in proportion as he applies himself more and more, and allows himself less and less to be beaten or to halt, and literally says here in footnote, come to an end of his furrow. Imagine a laborer, behind his team of oxen, coming to the end of the line, halting at the end. So as he applies himself more and more and allows himself less and less to be beaten or to halt, I shall recommend his conduct and shout my encouragement, saying, by so much you are better. Rise, draw a fresh breath, and surmount that hill, if possible, at a single spurt. So what does all that mean? Interesting ideas. The idea of not heeding the siren song at all quarters, that he says, sail not past whereas Ulysses and his crew had just the headlands to worry about as they sailed past, he's telling Lucilius that you have that same threat at all quarters. Worse yet, that everyone around you, all of your friends, they wish you good. They wish you things that they think are good, which are really evil. And worse yet, the gods themselves wish the same. And that to overcome that, you have to basically reject all those things. Reject work even. Well, what an interesting thing. Well, why, that was the piece I was struggling with, was why rejecting work? And he says that that is a part of the Indifferentia. Rudy, come on, little guy. Rudy. You know, Rudy there is not rigid. And it's not, I'm not smoking, I have my little Japanese Katori-senko insect repellent. It works really well. Not too many mosquitoes here in California, but there's enough right now. So Rudy getting upset right there, so he can see somebody. You can see little Rudy. Maybe if I turn this without messing it up. There's little Rudy. Hi, Rudy. He gets all upset because he sees people walking past there, and that makes him all upset. And look how flustered he is and upset, and just, he's got a nice little bed. He can sit here right next to me. But he chooses sometimes to instead to get up and respond to the world. And I think that Seneca is telling Lucilius to of course not be subject to the whims of the world, and to let fortune raise his spirits and then dash them down, but to stop his ears with stopple. I love that word too, stopple. So that he can't hear those things, because this, as he said, they fall under the category of indifferentia. What an interesting word, indifferentia. All of the things out there to which and against which we should be indifferent. A very Stoic value and characteristic, a trait, to be indifferent to the fluctuations of fortune. So he says the great value there, the proper perspective then, is to what does he just say, to resent work? He says, work is not a good. Work is not a good. How can that be? And the reason that it's not a good is that it's a part of that category of indifferentia, because anything that is in that category is something that can be at once good and bad. It's not purely good or bad. And work indeed can be at times a good thing. For example, when we're successfully providing for our family, but it can also be a bad thing, like when it drives us to an early grave. So as a result, work should be scorned as indifferentia. That doesn't mean we shouldn't work. He says here, I should rebuke men who toil to no purpose. So working to no good end is something that should be scorned. However, laboring towards honorable things, as he says here, he says, but when, on the other hand, a man is struggling towards honorable things, in proportion as he applies himself more and more and allows himself less and less to be beaten or to halt, I shall recommend his conduct and shout my encouragement, saying, by so much you are better. Rise, draw a fresh breath, and surmount that hill, if possible, in a single spurt. So Seneca isn't disparaging work. He's disparaging toil, or work that is not to an honorable end. The question is, what is honorable? In my own worldview, the honorable would be, virtue would be what pursues the good life, which is, I define that as the improvement of well-being for thinking creatures in general. So I think this has helped me. I think I understand better now what he meant by that. I think I now I'm armed with a new term, indifferentia. Not to be confused with the great indifference, which is one of the, which is the, what do you call it? It is the backdrop of my book, Going Alone. You know, the great indifference, that yawning emptiness, that seeming fact that the universe doesn't care, that suggestion and evidence, maybe even, that God does not exist, that we are alone in this universe, that death is forever, that we will not see those we loved in another life, that we will have no second chance to render justice, that we will have no great reunion, and no happy forever or eternal damnation for those who deserve it. That it appears that what we have is this thing that's about us now, these moments, this time to share life and love with those around us, to make good use of that time, to ignore the indifferentia, to be indifferent to the indifferentia, to pursue the good life, to scorn work, yet favor and pursue honorable ends. The Stoics, they really had a lot to them. Thanks for sharing a little time with me while we learn a new word and maybe flesh out and tease out some of what Seneca meant by his epistle number 31 on the Siren Song. So be safe out there, but not too safe. Take care.